The board has adopted an ethics statement that affirms our commitment to ethical conduct. The statement is, the Board of Trustees is committed to and shall perform its duties ethically and according to our core beliefs. We will model the highest standards of conduct. We will ensure that no personal value system or personal goal interferes with our duty as public servants. The public interest shall be the principle which guides the board in its deliberation and decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. We acknowledge that we're still experiencing unprecedented conditions at this time. However, the board needs to address essential district business. Today, we will review information and make policy decisions related to the effective operation of Aldine Independent School District. I see that we have viewers tonight. Please make any comments to our secretary if you have them tonight. I let the minutes reflect that all of the board members are present. We have Mr. Mead and I in the boardroom, and everyone else is on video. We have approval of the minutes of previous meetings. Do we have a motion?
A motion. I move that the minutes of the regular meeting and executive session on August the 18th, 2020 be approved as printed.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Avalos. We will begin the vote with Mr. Steve Mead.
Mead, yes.
Mrs. Esparza?
Esparza, yes.
Dr. Booker?
Booker, yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Avalos, yes.
Dr. Garcia?
Garcia, yes.
Mr. Bates?
Bates, yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion is affirmed. The Aldine Independent Schools District Board of Trustees will now hear from our Chief Business and Operations Officer, Dr. Tamika Alfred Stevens, regarding our budget and proposed tax rate. Dr. Stevens.
Thank you, President Shanklin, Dr. Goffney, and members of the board. I have several items to discuss this evening. In accordance with Section 44.004 of the Texas Education Code, we conducted a budget and proposed tax rate hearing on June 29th of this year. Proper notification of that hearing was posted and advertised in the newspaper, and that hearing was held with open public comments. There are also copies of the June tax notice available if anyone would still like to receive a copy. At that June meeting, the board was presented with a proposed budget of $657,902,917 for the 2020-2021 school year. This represents an overall increase of 1.015% from the 2019-2020 budget. The board adopted that proposed budget. Also at the June meeting, a proposed tax rate hearing was also held. Tonight, we would like to set the 2020 tax rate for the Aldine Independent School District. I have provided you a statement of the 2020 appraisal roll. This statement, I should say, indicates the total certified and uncertified appraised value of all property is $32,024,131,087, and the taxable certified and uncertified value of all property is $24,253,021,189. In order for the district to maintain and oversee the schools in the Aldine Independent School District, to pay outstanding bonds in the succeeding year, and any other lawful purposes, it is necessary for the district to set a tax rate. As you know, regulations from House Bill 3 required school districts to reduce its tax rate. Aldine's maintenance and operations tax rate will be compressed from $1.04415 to 0.9719 cents. The 0.9719 cents is the required compressed tax rate I am requesting the board to set for the 2020 tax year. Additionally, I am proposing the board set the tax rate of 0.3025 cents for the interest and sinking fund for the 2020 tax year. That brings a total tax rate of $1.27.44 for the 2020 tax year. This rate is 0.0727 cents lower than our current tax rate. In June, each board member was given a copy of the notice that appeared in the Houston Chronicle. The notice indicated these proposed tax rates. Does the board have any questions about our taxable value or the tax rates I have presented at this time?
Board members, are there any questions? There doesn't appear to be, Dr. Stevens. You can continue.
Yes, sir. If there are no questions, then I would like to recommend that the board approve the resolution and ordinance fixing and levying school district ad valorem taxes and approve the certified tax roll. President Shanklin.
Board members, you have heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I move we adopt a total tax rate of $1.2744 for the 2020 tax year, which consists of 0.3025 cents for the interest and sinking fund and 0.971 cents for the maintenance and operations.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Do I have a second?
Esparza seconds.
Thank you, Mrs. Esparza. We'll begin the votes with Mr. Bates.
Bates, yes.
Dr. Garcia,
Garcia, yes.
Dr. Booker,
Booker, yes.
Ms. Avalos,
Yes.
Mr. Mead,
Yes, Mead, yes.
and I vote yes. I don't think
Esparza, yes.
Ms. Esparza, thank you. Motion carries. Dr. Stevens?
The adoption of the 2020 tax rate satisfies the requirements set out in section 44.004 of the Texas Education Code. President Shanklin and members of the board, this concludes my part of the meeting of the Board of Trustees for the purpose of discussing the budget and adopting the 2020 tax rate.
Thank you. We'll adjourn the meeting to adopt the tax rate. That's at 7:08 p.m. Next, we will have Dr. Stevens again
Yes, sir.
to talk about our bonds.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, President Shanklin. At last night's study session, our financial advisor, Terrell Palmer, and our bond attorney, Baron Wallace, presented a proposed bond order that would allow the refunding of unlimited tax refunding bonds. Since the current market has such low interest rates, this proposed order could refund Series 2010A, 2010B, and our 2013 bonds and save the district approximately $11.8 million in future interest costs. Each board member was given a copy of that bond order as a part of the board upload and had the opportunity to ask questions of our financial advisor and bond attorney. At this time, I would be glad to answer any other questions the board has about the proposed bond order.
Board, do we have any additional questions to Dr. Stevens? It doesn't appear to be. Dr. Stevens, you can continue.
If there are no questions, I would like to recommend that the order authorizing the issuance of one or more series of the Aldine Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds be approved.
Thank you. Board members, you've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept Dr. Alfred Stevens' recommendation that the order authorizing the issuance of one or more series of Aldine Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds be approved.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Mr. Mead, I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. We'll begin the vote with you, Mr. Mead.
Mead, yes.
Ms. Esparza,
Esparza, yes.
Dr. Booker,
Booker, yes.
Ms. Avalos,
Avalos, yes.
Dr. Garcia,
Garcia, yes.
Mr. Bates,
Bates, yes.
and I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
That concludes my part of the agenda, President Shanklin. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Booker. We will now hear from Mrs. Katie Rohde, Chief of Schools.
Actually, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Todd Davis, who will present our recognitions.
Thank you. Dr. Davis?
Thank you, Ms. Rhodey. Good evening, President Shanklin, board members, Dr. Goffney. For our Teaching and Leading Award, or our spotlight this evening, I'm excited to highlight our professional learning team. Last year, through the restructuring of the Teaching and Learning Department, we were able to create the first professional learning team in Albany. This team hit the ground running and launched multiple professional learning initiatives that truly prepared our teachers and our leaders for a successful return to learn this year. One of the initiatives I truly believe is going to have long-lasting, generations of lasting impact on quality of instruction and student outcomes in Albany. And at this time, I'd like to pass or introduce you to our executive director of our professional learning team, Akila Willery, and ask her to tell us a little bit more about this initiative.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Thank you, President Shanklin, board members, Dr. Goffney, and all our other esteemed guests. I just want to pause for a moment and tell you that with all of the anxiety and uncertainty that we've had with the COVID public health emergency, it forced us to rethink a lot of our projects and events. And we were very nervous about some of those new plans that we had to make. However, what I'm about to share with you was actually a spotlight because of the school closure, because we had to do things virtually. We were forced to reimagine some things, including how we supported new teachers and welcomed them into the district. And as you know, in previous years, we've had a big face-to-face event with a lot of pageantry, a lot of public speaking, a lot of wonderful things that we're able to show off to the new teachers to make them feel welcome. But we were able to do it differently this year, and we considered that a bit of an improvement, and we liked it so much. We got so much positive feedback from new teachers that we're planning to roll it out the same way again next year. But as we say on the different videos, wait till the end because there's one little highlight that I want you to catch. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen right now. I am going to show you a video presentation that was created by Stephanie Knight, who is our program director of professional learning, who is supporting new teacher onboarding support. So let me try to get that up for you. There we go.
Good evening, Aldine ISD School Board and Superintendent Dr. Goffney. My name is Stephanie Knight, and I'm with the Professional Learning Department, and I'm here to share with you the new teacher onboarding launch stats for August 5th, 2020. In collaboration with the Human Resources Department, we were able to offer 50 sessions on various topics. Those topics included sessions on special education, English learners, library services, digital learning, social and emotional learning, gifted and talented services, as well as content. The day started with a motivational and welcome speech from Dr. Goffney. Next, teachers were able to choose from 6 different sessions. As you can see from the session attendance, teachers came to this event and they stayed at this event. Every session had more than 400 teachers throughout the day. As you'll notice from our content attendance, social and emotional learning had 516 new teachers trained that day. In addition, we had 433 new teachers trained with content. This lets us know that teachers are interested in the social and emotional learning of their students, as well as what content they'll be teaching this school year. In addition, we had sessions for special education, English learners, and of course, digital learning. Through this event, 2,349 CPE and INVEST hours were earned by our newest teachers. We had 56 district presenters, which included counselors, program directors, directors, executive leadership team members, as well as leadership team members. In addition, we also had counselors and teachers. The total expense to the district for this virtual event was $450. The only expense this year was to pay those teachers who are not on contract. This was a wonderful new teacher onboarding launch, and we look forward to continuous conversations with the Human Resources Department, as well as all the other departments that were included. In addition, there was a new teacher resource app developed for our newest hires. This app lets our newest hires quickly navigate through the new teacher newsletter, the new teacher website, as well as the new portion of the Aldine ISD website just for new teachers. In addition, we've created 3 courses for our newest hires. There is one for our first-year teachers, which will continue the onboarding process for their first year of teaching. There's also a Schoology course for our second-year teachers. We call this the Growth and Greatness Group. We hope that they keep growing in their second year of teaching and continue to show the greatness that they've learned in being at Aldine ISD. There is a 3rd course for our third-year teachers, and we call this group Fostering Leaders. We want teachers in their 3rd year to understand and know that leadership is important in Aldine ISD. Our hope is that they continue their growth and find leadership in their future. This could include being a team leader, a skills specialist, or a mentor next year. We look forward to working with our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd year teachers to continue their onboarding process in their first 3 years of teaching. Thank you for letting me share this time with you. I want to also thank the Human Resources Department as we continue to collaborate and have conversations on how to make the launch even better next year. I also want to thank the Teaching and Learning Department for their continued support with this event, in addition to my team, the Professional Learning Team. Thanks again for your time and have a great evening.
Okay, so even though I am quite biased, I just want to say that Stephanie is fabulous, and I feel very lucky that she is actually leading this entire process. So if you caught the big surprise, this entire event to onboard almost 500 new teachers was $450, so yay for that. And also the fact that we're going to continue following these teachers the entire school year. So this was a launch event that really goes into a complete year-long, actually 3-year-long onboarding process. So even though we want to welcome our new teachers and make them feel like, appreciated, because we're glad that they chose Aldine, but we also want to keep them here. So we're going to continue to give them that wraparound support, not just with their instructional needs, but also with their everyday needs, just because many of them are from out of state, welcoming them into the Houston community. So thank you very much for the opportunity to show this off, and hopefully we'll be able to come back to you sometime later in the year and share more successes about how we're supporting our new and young teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Akilah, and thank you for your leadership. And yes, you and your team, and especially Stephanie for this work, are absolutely fantastic. And $450, now that's what I call a return on investment. And again, their work with this new teacher launch, I am confident we will see benefits to our students' outcomes for many, many years to come. So if you can join me all in, I guess, in a virtual hand clap, let's give our professional learning team a round of applause. I'm so proud to be able to work with this fabulous team. Thank you, Akilah. And Dr. Shanklin, thank you Mr. Shanklin, thank you very much. And that concludes our Teaching, Leading, and Learning Spotlight for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. And Ms. Rohde, thank you for introducing Dr. Davis. We will now hear from Mrs. Shalia Reed, Chief Communications Officer, in recognition of our staff, students, and patrons.
President Shanklin, Dr. Goffney, members of the board, happy to be here. September, can you believe it? We are 9 months into the year. I'm so close, the boardroom's right there. I could be standing at the podium. We're almost back to things being somewhat normal, and I just want to tell you that I do miss having a boardroom full of family members and little kids doing the pledge. It's nothing like that. It really makes board meeting night special. I would first like to acknowledge that we have been back in our buildings and campuses. I think today's Tuesday, so 2 days. So almost 9,600 staff members are back in their campuses and their buildings. And from everything I've heard, things are going okay, fingers crossed. But many campuses across the district welcome their staff back with red carpet. I saw Chick-fil-A, I saw parades, balloons, and even here we had a whole Kona truck with snow cones. And so it's nothing like celebrating your staff and reminding the team that we're back and we're here focused on doing the work of educating our students. And so, as you know, board members, we are preparing for next week, in which we will welcome a small group of students back who have chosen on-campus learning. So this week was just a preview in preparation for next week. I do want to just thank all the staff members for their cooperation, for ensuring they're doing the 3 things that they're supposed to do, Dr. Goffney: universal masking, social distancing, and frequent hand washing. And we know that if we continue to do those 3 things, we'll help keep the spread down. So before, I wanted to get that out the way. We have a very special recognition today. Our board president, Mr. Shanklin, I don't know where you are, I can't see you, but Mr. Shanklin is celebrating 5 years of hard work for the students of Aldine ISD. He accepted the position of board president late last year, and I think the word is yeoman's job. I had to look it up to make sure, but he's done a yeoman's job of leading the board even during a pandemic. And I think someone just handed you your pen. So Mr. Shanklin, thank you for your service to the Aldine ISD community. Your pen, please wear it proudly. If you are a social media follower, there are lots of people posting their pens. They mean a lot. Welcome to a special club of Aldine ISD employees. So congratulations for that. And again, thank you for your service and your hard work. I won't delay and I'll continue with our employee recognitions. As you know, tonight we will hear from several departments. First up is Mr. Milo Ortiz, Executive Director of Buildings and Properties. And I believe as he's preparing, I will bring up my presentation. Mr. Ortiz will highlight the employee and building of the month. Let me share my screen. I'm coming.
No problem. Okay.
There's Mr. Shanklin. Over the 5 years, he looks no different than the very first day we met him. And there you go, Mr. Ortiz.
All right, thank you very much. All right, good evening, President Shanklin, Dr. Goffney, members of the board, and all in attendance. It is indeed my pleasure to be with you this evening to present our Building of the Month. I know that we can all agree that 2020 has been anything but normal. Well, keeping with that theme, we are going to vary from the norm this evening. And for the first time ever, we are going to recognize a facilities building. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Gloria Livingston, the head custodian of the Bamberg Professional Development and Resource Center. During the pandemic, operations has been deemed essential workers, and the Bamberg building has been open, providing the operations team a safe haven to provide services to the district. Mrs. Livingston and her team have done an outstanding job disinfecting and cleaning the Bamberg building so all who enter have a safe and clean environment to work, while keeping the Bamberg building looking amazing. We would like to acknowledge Gloria Livingston and her team as first responders who diligently do their jobs so operations can continue to support the district and the district can continue to focus on educating our students. Gloria has been a custodian in Aldine for 16 years, with 15 of those years being a head custodian. We would like to thank Mrs. Livingston and her team for their work and leadership. So on behalf of Buildings and Properties, it is my pleasure to present the Bamberg Professional Development and Resource Center, the Building of the Month for September 2020. Thank you for a job well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. I want to make sure Dr. Metcalf has an opportunity to recognize her Employee of the Month from Transportation.
Hi, good evening, President Shanklin, Dr. Goffney, and members of the board. Tonight, I would like to recognize Danita Villegas as the Transportation Department's Employee of the Month. Danita was hired as a bus attendant in September of 2013, and then we quickly recognized that Danita has a gift. She has a tremendous amount of brain power, just completely mind-boggling what she can do and how her brain processes information. And fortunately for us, she was willing to share her talents with the department, and we're a better department for it. She assisted in dispatch as the key dispatcher when the position was vacant. She has an amazing memory and the ability to think critically and problem solve. Plus, when it comes to figuring it out in dispatch, she's generally cool under pressure, and there is always a lot of pressure in dispatch. There's not a challenge that she can't solve, and she and her teammates do a great job taking care of the east side of the district. She no longer assists in dispatch. She has rightfully earned the position of key dispatcher, and she has solidified her place in dispatch by obtaining her commercial driver's license. We have wanted to recognize Danita for a long time as Employee of the Month, but I just couldn't do it. Not until she earned her CDL, and she's done it. I'm very, very proud of her. So proud that we baked her a cake. It was a school bus, and it stood upright, a 3D school bus. And she goes on Thursday to take her photo at DPS so that she can have her CDL. And I know that she is watching, and on behalf of the Transportation Department, I just want to tell her that we are all so proud of you and recognize Danita as our Employee of the Month.
Dr. Metcalf, that's an amazing story. I have chills thinking about the 3D cake, and really it shows how growth can happen when people put their mind to it. So thank you for recognizing her and reminding us all that we all are important to the work that we do. I also want to bring up Dr. Javier Villarreal, the Chief Human Resource Officer. He will recognize the Employee of the Quarter for his department.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Good evening, President Shanklin, Dr. Goffney, Board of Trustees. This evening, we are recognizing our Employee of the Quarter for the Human Resources Department, who is Lamika Martin. Lamika Martin joined the Human Resources Department in December of 2019 as the Director of Benefits. She has brought a tremendous wealth of knowledge and experience to the role and position. Lamika's work ethic and attention to detail are unmatched. In just 9 months of her joining our team, Ms. Martin has been able to either save or recapture close to $4.4 million. She has been able to do so through auditing systems and practices within the benefits division, holding our contracted services accountable to a certain level of services, and if not met, requesting refunds. She is also taking advantage of rebates we are eligible for through our prescriptions program, and she's eliminated having to pay multiple vendors for duplicating services. Ms. Martin has not only proven to be business savvy, but she has demonstrated strong leadership in her oversight of the benefits department. Her ability to navigate the high volume of employee accommodations requests during the pandemic while continuing her day-to-day services and all other aspects are just unmatched and rather impressive. She provides employees with accurate answers to their questions while exhibiting compassion and understanding for their concerns. She exemplifies stellar leadership and customer service, which is certainly worthy of this honor. So it is indeed a pleasure to recognize Lamika Martin as a Human Resources Employee of the Quarter.
All right, I have been in her presence, and you're right, she's making a difference. Before we end my portion of the evening, I want to make sure Ms. Stacy Smith, Director of Special Programs, has an opportunity to recognize those across the district who have earned grants. Stacy?
Unmute yourself, Stacy.
All right, trial run. Sorry about that. Thank you, Shalia. Good evening, President Shanklin, board members, Dr. Goffney, administrative leadership, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy this evening to celebrate several of our awardees that I know are watching in our virtual audience this evening. First, we have Victory Early College High School Principal Phyllis Cormier and English teacher Audrey Phillips being recognized for the project Adding Black Voices to Our Shelves that will add a variety of books for student literature resources. This project was funded in part by the Major League Baseball Players Trust along with Donors Choose, and the amount for this project was $752. Next, we have Eisenhower Senior High School Principal Mandalay Davis and Keisha Bolton and Maya Benfield. They were awarded a grant for Eliminate the COVID Spike at Ike to install foot-operated hand sanitizer stations throughout the campus and educate the campus community on staying healthy and safe during the pandemic. This was funded by the Education Foundation of Harris County and the Harris County Department of Ed in the amount of $14,835. Congratulations. Next, we have Avalos P-Tech High School with Principal, with Principal Dr. Diana Del Pilar and her grant writing committee of Glenn Bailey, Julian Barnwell Joseph, Jonathan Duncan, and Thomas Raphael. They were awarded the P-Tech Success Grant. This grant program provides students with a smooth transition to post-secondary education and the workforce. This was funded by the Texas Education Agency in the amount of $125,000. And last but definitely not least, our Student Support Services Department, led by Assistant Superintendent Dr. Charlotte J. Davis, Thomas Colwell, and Michael Williams, were awarded the Safe and Secure Schools Grant that will provide safety upgrades and perimeter fencing, cameras, and equipment for our schools. This was from the Texas Education Agency in the amount of $1,081,764. The total amount for this evening is $1,222,351. And please join me at this time in congratulating and celebrating our awardees.
Mr. Shanklin, that is all of the presentations I have tonight. But before I go, I would just ask that the audience and our board members and staff members mark their calendar and look at campuses and events as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Hispanic Heritage Month kicks off today and goes through October 15th. And each campus and even building have special events planned. I know that in our building, I saw a mask contest, and I'm pretty excited about winning that. I'm not sure what I'm going to pull off, but I'm looking forward to it. So thank you all that are planning those events. And as we try to do, we want to honor the heritage and culture of all of those who are in our district. And so this month, we are highlighting and celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Mr. Shanklin, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalia. I'm looking forward to that mask contest. I have seen some very interesting ones. In fact, I think a golden retriever mask actually came into the boardroom tonight. Kind of frightened my cat mask, if you will. If you see Stacy, she has it on right now. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate everything that you do. And as our superintendent says, good job, good job. We will now move to the consent agenda. The board has had the consent agenda items in their possession for study and discussed them at length in the study session last night. Ms. Loera, did we receive any written comment forms from members of the public to address any consent agenda items to be voted on by the board?
No, sir, we did not.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion, board, regarding the consent agenda items A through J?
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead there, President. I move that all items under A through J on the consent agenda be approved as stated.
Do I have a second?
Garcia seconds the motion.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. We'll begin the votes with Mr. Bates.
Bates, yes.
Dr. Garcia?
Garcia, yes.
Ms. Esparza?
Esparza, yes.
Ms. Avalos? Rose, are you there? I think we may have lost, Rose may be having.
Avalos, yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mead,
Mead, yes.
Dr. Booker,
Booker, yes.
and I vote yes, the motion carries. We will now move into the executive session that we had after the study session last night. Do I hear a motion regarding the executive session agenda items?
I move that the board approve the authority and approval of the donation of the easement to Harris County Road Department for the purpose of the project to extend an existing roadway as discussed in closed session.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Dr. Booker. We'll begin the vote with Mr. Mead.
Mead, yes.
Mrs. Esparza,
Esparza, yes.
Dr. Booker,
Booker, yes.
Ms. Avalos,
Avalos, yes.
Dr. Garcia,
Garcia, yes.
Mr. Bates,
Bates, yes.
and I vote yes as well, so the motion carries. Dr. Goffney, do you have any staff recognitions for this month?
Mr. President and Board of Trustees, we have 4 leaders to recognize tonight. I'm going to ask Dr. Vidrial if he would please share his screen so you can see a picture since they can't be with us on tonight. I know they're participating virtually. Our first new member to our team is Mr. Derek Sanders. He's a new Assistant Superintendent of Operations. He comes to us as an Officer of Construction Services for the Houston Independent School District. Mr. Sanders is a strong proponent of servant leadership, and he served in public education over 20 years. Through his extensive years of experience, he's not only oversaw the work of a $1.9 million program, he has also successfully collaborated with other operational departments such as child nutrition, maintenance, and transportation throughout his career to get goals accomplished. He strongly believes our most prized possessions are our students, and meeting their needs is why we exist. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanders to our Department of Operations as the Assistant Superintendent of Operations. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Next, we'll have Ms. Paula Osisami. Ms. Osisami, she was serving as a history teacher at Meade Middle School, but she was recently promoted to assistant principal at Lane School. She has 8 years of experience in the field of education. Ms. Osisami has worked passionately to provide students with the knowledge base to have a fun appreciation for history and for learning. She was active on our campus and she served as a mentor to new teachers. She's coordinated interventions and she has been instrumental in improving behavior and academic outcomes. Congratulations to Ms. Paula Osisami, who's a new assistant principal at Lane School. Ms. Hillary Sanders. Ms. Hillary Sanders recently served as the Dean of Counseling and Student Culture at Young Women's Theme and Preparatory Academy in El Paso ISD, but she was recently selected to serve as a Social Emotional Learning and Student Culture Specialist in Aldine ISD, so welcome to Aldine. Ms. Sanders has over 15 years of experience in the field of education. She led the Social Emotional Learning program at her campus, where she provided group counseling for girls to build confidence and academic skills. Ms. Sanders used restorative practices along with Tier 3 interventions to create individualized plans to assist with academic and behavior success. Please welcome Ms. Hillary Sanders to Aldine ISD. And last but certainly not least is Ms. Latasha Abrams. She was recently promoted from Family and Community Engagement Specialist to Director of Family and Community Engagement. Ms. Abrams has 20 years of experience in the field of education. She has served as a teacher and Title I program director. Ms. Abrams supervised campus Title I coordinators to ensure compliance with the program. She also collaborated with multiple departments to plan and conduct district-wide family and community engagement activities. Congratulations, Ms. Abrams, and congratulations to all of our new Aldine leaders. Mr. President, Board of Trustees, that concludes our announcements of the new Aldine leaders.
Thank you, Dr. Goffney. I really am tired of this virtual world. I would love to have everybody here so we could celebrate with them and see their families and get hugs and everything. Just keep doing what you're doing and let's get over this, guys. Mrs. Esparza, Do we have any board committee reports and or updates?
We have the following policy committee reports at this time. A, approval of board policy change, EIC local academic achievement class ranking effective on first reading and final reading. B, approval of proposed revisions to local board policies, CB local, CH local, and CV local to update contract and grants signature authority effective on first reading and final reading. C, annual review of board policy, CDA local investment policy. I move that the board approve on first and final reading board policy change, EIC local academic achievement class ranking, and the proposed revisions to local board policies, CB local, CH local, and CV local, as stated above, and the annual review of board policy, CDA local investment policy.
Thank you, Mrs. Esparza. That's a mouthful. Do I have a second? Board members, do I have a second?
Bates, second.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. We'll begin the votes with you, Mr. Bates.
Bates, yes.
Dr. Garcia?
Garcia, yes.
Mrs. Esparza?
Esparza, yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Avalos, yes.
Dr. Booker?
Booker, yes.
Mr. Mead?
Mead, yes.
And I vote yes as well, so the motion carries. We have reviewed and discussed the superintendent's contract recommendation during the superintendent's evaluation and contract conference meeting and executive session. Do we have a motion regarding the superintendent's contract?
I move that the superintendent be given a one-year extension of her contract with the terms and salary as discussed during executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Avalos. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Dr. Booker. We'll begin the vote with Mr. Mead.
Mead, yes.
Ms. Esparza?
Esparza, yes.
Dr. Booker?
Booker, yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Avalos, yes.
Dr. Garcia?
Garcia, yes.
And Mr. Bates?
Bates, yes.
I vote yes as well, so the motion carries. Ms. Loera, did we receive any written comment forms from the members of the public?
Yes, sir, we did receive a few.
Okay. So this is the portion of the meeting when the board receives input from the patrons. The posting of this meeting includes a link for members of the public to provide written comments. Those comments will be read by Ms. Loera, board secretary, and will be limited to 3 minutes. Because of topic posting requirements of the Open Meetings Act, board members will not answer any questions posed to the board in the comments, and no action can be taken on any issue presented during this time. If you wish to pose questions to the board, you may submit them in writing on the Let's Talk link found on the district websites, and the board may consider them at a subsequent meeting. Ms. Loera, will you read the comments at this time?
Yes, sir. Our first one is from Ms. Jennifer LeBlanc. The day after most Aldines teachers return to campus, I am making a comment to be read during a video conference board meeting. Safety first. You could have decided to remain online 4 more weeks without losing funding, yet opted against the safer choice. While your intention is to have teachers report a week before students may be helped them acclimate, what it actually does is normalize them being in an area that will become increasingly less safe as more possible vectors enter. 40% of spread is asymptomatic and students are not required to test negative to come to school. You stagger groups by 1 week at a time in your plan. This is not advisable since new cases show up as late as 14 days after exposure, and the full impact of an outbreak is not seen for 21 days. You are sending mixed messages to public. The public gets a message of reassurance of their safety, the planning to the PPE, and the idea that social distancing will be enforced. Teachers and staff receive staff emails that they must bring their own PPE because there is only enough for emergency, and also discouraging the use of additional PPE. Face shields. 3, upon review of your screening process, it is apparent that teachers may be unlikely to report their symptoms. Why? The survey makes it clear the teacher will be penalized for answering wrong. The instructions say if you report a symptom, you cannot work and your personal days may be taken. It also says you must take 10 days off, have a negative test from an approved site, or an alternate diagnosis from a doctor. Those things cost money. Many people returned because they had no recourse or extra money. In addition, some people do not believe in the virus and will refuse to report symptoms because they think it is a hoax. Number 4, you are able and equitable to LOTC teachers. We know core teachers are awarded virtual positions while we receive hybrid or face-to-face positions. We can execute all functions of our job online just as core teachers can and sign an identical contract, but are placed in additional danger at your hands. We should be treated equitably. I ask you to consider that your decisions are not serving your employees or students, since a disservice to teachers is a disservice to students. In public media appearances, you say you give teachers options. What you don't say is that those options are resignation to being in danger, resignation from the job, or FMLA, which is unpaid for most. We know that our safety is less important than your knowing or unknowing service to the JGT. Mike Morath opened the schools agenda, which possesses such potential for harm to the community at large. You had 4 more weeks of funding and had a waiver ready to go. Okay. Our next comment is from Ms. Kate Natal. I have been a teacher in Aldine for over a decade, and there is no way to sugarcoat this. Aldine's current plan and timetable for hybrid learning is an absolute disaster in the making that will needlessly endanger students, staff, and their families. It will throw the learning environment into absolute chaos while failing to provide any meaningful educational benefit to anyone. Simply put, we as a district are not ready for this. During the distance learning phase, teachers and students have been faced with navigating a plethora of glitchy, unfamiliar programs, and in some cases also navigating an entirely new curriculum with its own set of glitches and problems. It has understandably been an extremely frustrating experience for all involved. It has left many wishing for a return to normalcy. However, as much as we desperately want normalcy, this cannot and will not happen by forcing Aldine schools to open their physical doors too soon. Pushing for the premature reopening of schools will resolve none of the current problems, but will instead compound them. Teachers will now be forced to add commute times to their already overflowing plates. The glitch online programs creating so much chaos will still be used to power hybrid learning, and students who choose to come to campus will be additionally hindered by safety protocols that will make face-to-face learning nearly impossible. Mask mandates and social distance will severely harm students' abilities to learn through group work, peer assistance, and in particular devastating blows to ELLs, facial expression, and lip reading. In addition, COVID being a severe health risk, opening schools at this point also presents a major threat to the stability of the educational environment, as it will guarantee your child's face-to-face education will be nothing but an endlessly rotating roster of substitutes, as teachers after teacher has to miss school to get tested or quarantined. We need to return to school only when it is safe and practical. This district needs to fix the technical side of things before anything else moves forward. And in a human capacity, we need to wait until school is actually someplace where kids can come and learn, not be masked up, isolated, frustrated, miserable, and unable to seek the help they've come there to get. Okay, and also from Stanford Simmons, Aldine ISD board and administrative leaders. We are family, and together we can get through this situation, no matter how difficult the circumstances. We wish to acknowledge that the board and administration are making the best decisions they can based on data received in a very fluid situation. My story is just one of the thousands of employees who work for Aldine ISD. I am a 66-year-old who this Friday will be celebrating my 67th journey around the sun. I have earned a doctorate in education with over 40 years of experience, both K-12 and higher education, as an instructor and administrator. I know I am highly qualified, which is why I choose to continue to serve, because our students need and deserve the best. Of the many challenges the district faces, I choose to address 2 major concerns regarding virtual learning. Number 1, teachers teaching online from their campus, and number 2, support for parents on online students. I choose to accept the challenge of being an online instructor. This commitment meant I would have 245 students to whom I would be delivering content. My class roster includes 45 students with classification in special education or 504 students with IEPs. I spent my summer earning 17 PD hours to help prepare me for the challenges we all would face when school opened. I had spent anywhere from 12 hours to sometimes 16 hours a day preparing for and presenting lessons for my students. In addition to spending countless hours calling and reaching out to students and parents that have failed to log on or attempt daily assignments, it is truly a work in progress. We are improving day by day and reaching and teaching. To that end, many of my colleagues and I are requesting that the board grant teachers who are teaching virtual classes to teach from home. I understand this accommodation is mostly reserved for the most medically fragile of our teachers. However, commuting to school, in my case, 90 minutes or more one way, impedes my effectiveness as an online instructor. It just does not make sense to fight the Houston traffic to go to the facility to log on and provide online instruction and the administrative logistics of reaching out to students and parents. Secondly, as I reach out to parents with students participating in Aldi's at-home learning program, they express the need for training to assist them in supporting their child while she is learning. Many districts in our area require parents to complete some form of orientation or training as a requirement for their children's participation in online learning. Many parents will be grateful for adding additional guidance. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story and thoughts with you this evening. We are family, and together we can get through this situation. Kind regards, Dr. Stanford Simmons, MacArthur 9th. And our last one is from Elizabeth Sheesh. Greetings, Aldine ISD Board. Welcome back. Thank you for your leadership and service to the students, staff, and families of Aldine ISD. When I began years ago, our mission in Aldine was to produce the nation's best. The mission of 2020 and 2021 is to provide a rigorous and enriching educational experience that prepares every student for success in college, career, and life. I would add the phrase within an ever-changing local global society, as it relates to our current state of surviving and thriving in the pandemic that is COVID-19. I celebrate with you and all of my colleagues that many varied accomplishments we have reached in our district. And I encourage everyone, including myself, to not rest on how we have planned for and implemented our return to learn. The invitation is to continue developing this term collaboration. Each one of us, including all staff, are hereby invited to create a unique collaboration space for your school board or team. A space for your specific team, the team that you meet with each day or each week. I am referring to your leadership team, your grade level team, even your classroom. I recommend that each of us dedicate a day of the week or even 15 minutes out of each meeting time for any team member to have the floor and share our best practice overall or best practice during this pandemic. At my middle school campus, the math department has creativity to design such a space, which is a specific math team meeting held each Friday, where all the math teachers on my campus meet virtually together as a live group to share out any best practice idea. Everyone in our team is invited to prepare a clever hint, a tip, or any suggestion for us regarding how they are achieving success, or not while teaching math or while surviving as an educator during this pandemic time or of virtual learning or virtual teaching. With this type of specific meeting is that it multiplies our growth even exponentially in terms of genius and creativity, problem solving, and excellence as math teachers. After research and interviews, I learned that this idea is not a mandate within our school building, nor is this type of meeting a mandate from Aldine ISD or from the school board of Aldine ISD. Here in this public comment, I propose that it should be a mandate for each and every team to devote meeting time to specifically discuss best practices during the pandemic and virtual learning. For the school board and Aldine ISD leadership as well, I invite you and suggest that you must have such a meeting space or where you are in touch with what other school boards, other countries even, what are those who have been successful in a pandemic, such as COVID-19, Ebola, Spanish flu. What are they doing now and what have they done successfully to continue to serve children during this such a time as this? This meeting may be weekly or daily, not only for the purpose of collaborating with those on our specific Aldine leadership team, but also with those beyond our city, beyond our nation even, or the discussion topic of what is the very best way to proceed here in terms of maintaining the health and safety of everyone through protocols and serving the children during a pandemic. We cannot rest and be satisfied with the plan we have now created. We cannot merely rely on the CDC or what other school districts in Houston are doing or what other schools are doing in the United States.
Mr. Shanklin, the 3 minutes have expired.
Thank you. Are you about to end that? Look, that's much more?
No, it was like.
Okay, just finish, please.
Okay. rely on the CDC or what other school districts in Houston are doing, or what other school districts are doing in the United States. We need to all be actively even dealing, researching how to, with excellence, perform a particular job as it pertains to this unprecedented time. I appreciate the leadership on my campus for how they welcome the staff back to school in a meaningful way with the VIP interest. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank you all. Again, if you wish to pose questions to the board, you may submit them in writing on the Let's Talk link found on the district's website. And the board may consider, we will consider them at a subsequent meeting. This kind of ends everything up, guys. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Is there a second?
Bates, second.
Mr. Bates. All in favor by voice vote, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? It is now 11:56.
No.
7.
7:56, sorry. 7:56, and the meeting is now adjourned. Thanks, everyone.